just so I guess we can take the most of our time as everyone is joining. We'll just kind of go around and do some quick introductions so we know who we're chatting with today. So just quickly, I'm Taylor, Account Director at Zenlist, just hosting this webinar with my co-host over here, Jesse, my colleague and co-host again at another account director at Zenlist. But let's introduce our panelists. So Tabren, do you want to kind of kick it off? Let us know your name, title, brokerage, how many years in real estate?
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, everybody. It's good to be here and see everybody in person, or Zoom, I guess. But my name is Tabren Smith. I am 28 years old, and I'm the owner and team lead of my team, the NextGEN Group. I am currently here with Exit Strategy Realty alongside Nick Libert, our other panelist as well. And I've been in real estate now for pushing over 5 years now, which is insane. But
With that said, Nick, we'll kick it over to you.
Well, hey, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Nick Libert. I'm the owner of Exit Strategy Realty in Chicago. We have over 250 agents across Chicagoland. I've been in the business for 27 years. Love coaching agents like Tabren and his amazing team. I still sell real estate as well as an agent. So I'm out in the streets with our agents, which is how we found Zenlist way back in 2020, and we're so grateful for the opportunity to share why we love this tool at our brokerage today.
Brittanie, we'll kick it over to you.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Brittanie DeChino. I'm a vice president with TTR Sotheby's International Realty in the Washington, D.C. metro area. And I have been in real estate for 10 years. This is my 10-year mark right now.
Nice. Welcome. And then last but certainly not least, Marlene.
Hi, I'm happy to be here. I'm Marlene Green. I'm with Ansley Real Estate, Christie's International in Metro Atlanta. And I've been on the residential side of real estate for almost 8 years.
Thanks so much, everyone, for joining. We'll jump into questions. Just a reminder for anyone in the audience, there is a Q&A. So if there is a question that you have throughout the webinar, make sure to pop it into the Q&A. We'll be monitoring that as we go, so we can answer your questions and maybe even post some of them to our wonderful panelists here. So with this webinar, we really wanted to talk about the client experience and kind of how you guys are using this with your clients. I want to kind of start right at the beginning, though, of like what made you first decide to look for a different way to search and work with your clients? And what have you kind of noticed is the difference there? Like, how does this compare to how you were working with clients before, not on Zenlist? Nick, I'll kick it off to you if you want to start.
I would love to kick it off because I'll tell you, Exit Realty has a very beautiful app. I think all of us have a company's app that helps search for properties and things like that. But in Chicagoland, in our MLS and MRAD, we have something called the Private Listing Network. And so up to, in some neighborhoods, 25% of properties don't show up on Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, or a traditional MLS search. And so my clients, my agents, we were all struggling with how to get the information out, those properties out to our clients. And so that's when I fell upon Zenlist. And so it ended up being that was a need. But then from there, what I've seen the product grow into is it's multilingual. It's dealing with all the other commercial. You can do leasing, all the different aspects of real estate all in one app. Now it's got almost like a mini CMA for the consumer, the loan calculator. All these valuable tools are there for us. That is what has not only drawn me to the app, but kept me and our entire brokerage on the app. Is why I pay for it for everyone at Exit Strategy Realty and all of our clients to have.
Awesome. Brittanie, did you want to follow up? I see you nodding your head over there.
Well, yeah, a lot. I mean, I can echo most of what he said. I think I haven't actually even gotten too engaged in the new CMA tool, and I keep needing to spend some time with it. So sort of that was me also, like, I gotta spend time with that. I felt like I needed, I have tried a bunch of different tools, and I really wanted something that would allow me to interact with my client within the app, because it's like so chaotic if you're not using something like this, because they're sending you Zillow links and then they're over here with Redfin and like making a Google spreadsheet, and it just was too much. And so when I was introduced to this, it just seemed like it made a lot of sense. I'm a pretty organized person, and just having all my clients in one place and being able to interact with them. The tour feature for me was also huge to be able to see, because yeah, see, everyone's nodding their head. So for everyone listening to this, like, organizing tours is amazing on Zenlist, because you can put it all in there and you don't have to go back and forth with them. You just put it in and then they know to look, and you're like, that's it. You don't have to say, we're starting here, then we're here. It's just in there. And that was huge too for me.
Marlene, would you kind of echo those same sentiments? Yeah.
Yes. I just like the organization. I get enough texts during the day, text and email as it is, and I do not need my clients shooting links one by one. And I just love, I make time to check it every day. I love the organization and the communication of it.
That's great. And then Tabren, anything you want to add to that, or are you
Yeah,
kind of in the same
so
boat?
I love all of that. I mean, like I said, I'm a huge advocate for the tour section. I mean, everything within the app has just been such an instrumental piece to streamlining and creating efficiency within my business, and just creating a really good workflow. But the reason, alongside Nick, obviously we kind of started using the app around the same time, but he was researching this months before, really deciding to roll with it. But when I first started coming on, there was a lot of those consumer questions, clients that were like, man, I really wish I had an app. Man, I really wish I had, something easy that I can refer to and continue using, because yes, they're all on Zillow or Redfin or some other search platform, but they're running into that. Okay, well, these other search platforms are recirculating old listings, or oh, it just happened to go contingent the day you see it. So Zenlist creating the efficiency and ease of reference for consumers was a huge proponent as to why I wanted to continue using the app. But also giving them something that's updating in real time, not something that it's just recirculated, listings for the sake of lead capture. This is something they can use long term, and have continued to use, over the course of, the few years that, we've been utilizing the platform. So big fan.
Yeah, that's great. I think everyone kind of touched on something. It was like my client was searching on Zillow, maybe even looking for like an alternative. They weren't married to Zillow, but they didn't have, really anything better. So that kind of brings up my question of, for getting your clients on Zenlist, what are some of your best practices? Are you pitching that to your clients? What kind of feedback are you guys getting? And kind of walk us through your process. Tabren, if you wanna kick it off, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of ways that I've been able to invite my clients, but also keep them engaged, is super easy. I'm a huge proponent of, kind of, I guess, engaging in both reusable text templates. As we all know, most clients are going to respond to a text before they're going to pick up the phone and answer my call. So, I'll send them essentially a text template via whatever your preferred CRM is, and I operate out of Follow Up Boss, so it's just easy. But when we go through, I send the text, I'll have my consultation with my client and say, okay, here's everything that you've told me that you're interested in, the areas of your search, whatever the case may be, and I'm literally sending the searches directly to them. So instead of sending them an app and saying, okay, hey, good luck, figure it out, I'm saying, hey, I've created your search for you. I've sent you 35 properties in the areas of that you're interested in, and I'm sending you a text with literally a step-by-step outline of, okay, this is how you download it, this is how you get signed in, and within minutes, I get the notification to my CRM saying that they're already engaged in the app. And fast forward, the whatever 4 years that we've been using this app now, it's like I've been able to retain, I would say, probably between like 75 to 80% of the clients that I send this app to, which is huge for me, because at that point I always remember that they're there. I get real-time notifications automatically in my CRM that tells me that they're back on the app if they were past clients of mine or something like that. So I can re-engage and be like, hey, saw you were searching again, 2, 3+ years later, which is crazy.
So that I want to kind of piggyback off that. So Tabor and I obviously work at the same brokerage. We actually team up on some of my clients. I think part of the beauty of the app, I use it slightly differently than Tabor. I'm giving it to my clients I'm giving it to my friends. Day one is like, this is a research tool. This is a property analysis tool. This is a lifetime app for you. Because whether you're looking to buy, sell, rent, invest, it's got everything, all the data in there. Because what I'm finding out is, today's buyer is tomorrow's tenant or seller or investor. And I'm watching clients that just bought a house or a condo go back in, and all of a sudden they're looking in a different area. And I'm like, well, why are you looking again for something else? Oh, well, now I'm looking for my mom. Well, that's a trigger for me to reach out. And I can see that activity. The collaboration is within Zenlist, both for you and then your client, their family, because if you're linking them up and collaborating them as a family, the lender, that's a huge piece for us. The ease of having the lender see what the consumer's seeing and having that mortgage calculator right there. And also for those of us that are working as a team. So if I'm working with a client and I say, hey, I've got to go out of town this weekend. I'm going to go be with my family over in Indiana, which is a real life scenario for me. Tabren, could you work with my clients this weekend? Oh, and here's what they're looking at. That seamless, not handoff, but collaboration and almost a mastermind with that client. It's amazing for referrals because you can pass off to someone else within the Zenlist platform a referral, and you're still seeing real time what they're doing.
Absolutely. Marlene, how are you kind of getting your clients on Zenlist or engaging with them on Zenlist?
I always approach it during the buyer consultation. And I usually say to them, I know you have all these search apps, but this is what I found helps me and my client collaborate the most. And I've never had anybody say, no, I just want to stick with Zillow or whatever their app is. And quite frankly, Tabren's better. I don't even walk through that much. And I've had clients of all ages, and nobody's ever had any questions about how to use it. Once they join, I immediately get on and I set up the first search and send them a few houses. And then, eventually they do their own searches. But I always bring it up first thing. And right after the buyer consultation, I send them the text link to join.
We love a good text link. Brittany, anything you want to add to that, or are you kind of adding that to your buyer consult, or tell us a little bit about some of your best practices?
I've been doing it during my buyer consult too. I've been doing a lot of those on Zoom recently. So I actually do a Zoom screen share and add them in the moment. And I set up a search for them like right then. And I show them while we're in it, how to use it. This is how you save. I introduce them to the different tabs at the top, the different feeds. And I show them this is how it works and give them a sample of everything as best I can from my side. And then, yeah, from that, they usually just jump right in. Every once in a while, people like miss it or whatever, but usually if you send it from the text, they get it and they go right onto it. So, yeah, just doing it right then and there has usually been the best bet.
Can I just also make a suggestion? Is this should also be in your seller presentations. This should be also for your sellers, because the tools that they're building out, and I always feel bad for Taylor and Andre and all the support, the data team at Zenlist, because I drive them nuts with ideas.
Same. Sorry. Jesse's like, there she is again.
Yeah, but delete. But we love that they're responsive and helping build this into even more of an amazing app. It's also a tool for sellers. So it's a tool for landlords to track what lease rates are. It has just become this amazing data source, almost like RPR, Realtors Property Resource, which I'm a certified trainer in. This is a data source for your consumer for life. So I'm really pushing it on everybody as a lifetime app and resource. It's a unique value proposition for those of us that are subscribers.
That's great. And I kind of want to touch on something you had mentioned earlier, Nick, which was that you and Tabren kind of work together on Zenlist and do that sort of via our co-agent feature. Can you just like dive a little bit more into that? I feel like there might be some agents on here who aren't super familiar with what co-agents is and Kind of tell us how it's been beneficial for you, in handing off, the one-off tour, but in general, working with referrals, things like that.
It's been absolutely huge for us. So Exit Strategy Realty is a multi-state brokerage. We're over at Indiana as well. Some of you are dual licensed in multiple states. And so whether you are just simply taking a weekend off because you've got something else to do and you want to pass off a client to someone else for the weekend, or you want to truly co-collaborate as Tabren and I do on some of my clients. Darian Veal is another agent at my office that I collaborate with on some of my Team Libert clients. I love the fact that as a co-agent, that I can share the client and both me and the other agent can see what they're looking at, what the tour requests are, what the tour schedule is, and what the feedback is. It's so collaborative that it takes a lot of the mystery away of, well, what happened on the tour today, or what's going on with this client? Is this client even truly engaged with us? Are they really interested? Are they seeing what they need to see? That collaboration. And again, if you're a multi-state license agent, or even if you're just referring something out within your brokerage to someone else, I want to keep track of what's going on with my referrals too. And so that co-agent feature has been absolutely huge for us.
Brittany or Marlene, do you guys utilize that feature at all?
I actually just used it for the first time in a recent transaction. And it was great because the agent had sent me a referral, her buyers, but she wasn't totally active, but she was stepping in, every now and then. And so it was great for her to be able to keep up and see exactly what was going on without me having to side text her fill her in or any extra communication.
There's a handful of agents at my brokerage that use it. Most of them are my close colleagues who I work with. So I've actually done co-agent multiple times with each of them. And it's great. And the handoff is great. Like I had just a couple of weeks ago, my colleague Katie Grieco was away and her clients needed to write an offer. I wrote the offer, we didn't get it. And then they were shopping that week. And it was so easy because I could like so quickly catch up on everything they had already looked at, all their previous tours. I could see everything they'd saved, and I could just kind of jump right in, and it saved, I think, a ton of time and probably made their experience even more seamless. Despite the fact that Katie and I work together regularly, like having access to all of the data was just very smooth. And it was really nice.
And I think to add to that too, I mean, it's important whether you're a team lead, a co-agent working with somebody above you, or even a showing agent, if you need help and somebody is active in the platform, it's so simple, and that to me was the biggest puzzle piece because, yeah, as great of a resource as our MLSs are, there are some kinks. There are some things that, we run into, a lot that are like, man, I wish we could do this. I wish we could do that. So when I've added other people, especially if it's showing agents that just want to see the tours themselves, what are these clients saving? What are they requesting to tour? What notes are they adding on this? This is just all so easy to find, and you can simply just add somebody with a click of a button. It's incredible.
I think one of the biggest things for me also is to be able to just go in and click on that clients button and see who should I be talking to today.
Mhm.
That is in my coaching program, I call it Project X 8x8. I'm wanting to celebrate birthdays and housing anniversaries and all that good stuff by 8 a.m. But I'm also clicking in there going, well, wait, there's somebody that's looking in Zenlist that I haven't thought of reaching out to recently. Or I have somebody that I thought was a buyer of mine, and I'm scrolling down. I don't see them logging into Zenlist right now. Maybe I need to check in with them and see if have I not given them the instructions because I'm not as good as Tabren at sending out instructional links to how to use things. Check in with your people. That client button is such a nice habit to develop every day, to check in and be like, okay, here are my people. And if there's not a lot of people looking, that tells you got to go out and prospect more and get more business.
So go ahead, Brittany. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry to cut you off, Taylor, but I did want to just tag on that because that's a huge feature of it, is being able to see what people are doing. Like just yesterday, somebody popped up and I sent her a text. I'm like, she's back. She's like, I'm back. I was like, okay, so now we're getting together. Or I have clients that come on and off, how people do that. But I won't hear anything from them, but they don't know that I'm seeing them on there, and you can go and see every single listing. They viewed it 47 times. I'm like, okay, what are they doing? So it's a super useful feature that I think you guys should advertise more because it's super helpful on our end.
I use it kind of as my hot and warm list. I sit
Yep.
down every afternoon and look at it, and that's, who do I need to talk to today?
Before we stray too far off from co-agents, there was a good question in the Q&A that I want to go ahead and answer. Joe asked, when you're collaborating with another agent, do they have to be on your official team? Do they have to be within the same office? And they don't. You can collaborate with any other agent working on Zenlist. So if you're working across those state lines, or you're collaborating with another agent from a brokerage in any capacity, you can do all of that. So I just wanted to answer that question before we strayed too far off.
Kind of in the vein though of talking about client activity, you guys bring up great points where you can just log into Zenlist, your client list is there, going to be organized by who is the most recent in the app, and something I always try to point out in my trainings for agents as well. Outside of that, you can see their specific searches. You can see that they looked at listing X, 100 times, but maybe didn't request a tour or save that listing. So outside of just coming in and looking directly at the app, like how are you kind of approaching your clients about that? That's kind of a question I get asked a lot in trainings. I'm like, look, you can do all of these great things. And I feel like agents try to teeter this, like, I want to see what you're doing, but I don't know how to approach you and not sound creepy, for lack of a better term. What are kind of your best practices there?
I mean, I can kind of start with that. I mean, like I said, I'm a huge proponent with reusable text templates and, just creating efficiency across the board. Because as we know, new clients are coming in every day, it gets overwhelming. When I get notified, or even if I'm looking in the app and I see that little green dot that's like they're active, like they're on the platform, I'll simply go into their new options, see whatever the newest listing that just came up in the areas that they're interested in, and I'll send them the direct link. And I'll text it to them and be like, hey, just came up on the market. It's an hour on, it's 20 minutes on, whatever the case may be, what are your thoughts? And that just immediately gets them back on, re-engaged, and, they start asking those questions. I've seen that turnaround time from, the buyer consult to, getting them onto the app to actually getting them into the first property. That time frame of, what we know can take weeks, sometimes shortened into days. But just by simply sending them a link and being like, hey, re-engaging, hey, this just came up. So that's helped me a lot.
Same way with the open house feature, that you can sit there and go, hey, even if you don't want to, because I have people that say, oh, I'm not ready yet, Nick. I don't want to waste your time. I'm like, you know what? But there's some open, you're not wasting my time. But if you want to go to some open houses this weekend, remember to sign in with me as your agent. Here are some open houses to go to. It's a nice trigger to be in relationship with them, because I don't want them randomly rolling into an open house and not feeling like that I don't know what they're doing. So I'm actually pretty upfront and transparent about, like, hey, I can see what you're looking at in there, and that's a benefit to us. I want to be able to help you, and let me know if you're not figuring out or not seeing what you need to see in here, because maybe we need to adjust our prices or things like that. The beauty of this is, though, is unlike a traditional MLS search, I'm not hampering their boundaries where all of a sudden they're having to go ask me again to change the boundaries. They're able to create their own filters, and that's really a big deal for me. Is I would get people that, they go look on Zillow because my stuff didn't match what they weren't seeing what they wanted to see, aka there wasn't what they wanted in that area in their price range. And so they just kept having to go back to the drawing board. Now you don't have to. Zenlist is the drawing board.
Marlene, I saw you kind of nodding.
Well, I mean, it's true. And the other thing that I feel like it does, because I work with so many people relocating, and our relationship essentially starts on Zenlist. And it helps position me as kind of the local expert, because right when they get in and they start playing around in it, I tell them, make notes about things. It doesn't have to be the perfect house, but tell me what you like about it. And it kind of starts that back and forth. And most of the time they comment on houses that I've been in or that I know a backstory about. And so I can reply with that information, and it positions me as the expert.
Brittanie, anything you want to add as far as best practices with kind of following that client activity?
No, I think everyone kind of touched on, I don't think I really do anything different than everyone else here, but I do encourage people to use the notes feature. I think that's people really like that in the beginning to say that and then to track it. Another feature I will add, this just popped to mind, is the hiding feature. So
Mm.
when there's things in there, like the best clients are the ones that are in there every day, hiding the things they don't like saving, keeping it organized. And so that's a really nice tool. Also, sometimes I go in to hide like what they've hidden. And then I'm like, I don't think you should hide this one. I think we should consider it and maybe go see it, and they like that I'm doing that too, because then they're like, okay, I was not being open-minded, or I'm like, this is a really good street, the pictures are bad, but like the house might be good. So it's helpful to be able to see what they're knocking out also and add some insight to bring it back to life potentially.
Great. Speaking of notes, other activity, notifications, things like that, are there any kind of customizations, anything else that you guys have done as far as being notified about activity on Zenlist that has been helpful? Maybe setting some certain app defaults, changing things to list view. Nick, I see you're nodding, so I'm going to popcorn that question over to you.
One thing that I did that you guys allowed us to do, change as a default, is I allow everyone on the platform. I don't need to be if you go in and you request access, I don't need to accept you anymore. It is an automatic, like, yes, please come on board. And then also it's really great that you guys have such wonderful CRM integrations. I pay for Wise Agent for all of my agents to have. So that's the CRM of choice at my office for most of our agents. It feeds right in. So even though I didn't have to accept them, there's a notification going to right into Wise Agent, which then can create a trigger to create a buyer presentation, etc., to go through all that. So I really like that default setting of let them all in. That's one big thing. I did want to answer something that was in the chat about maybe like a senior or someone that's not tech savvy. One of the beautiful things you guys did pretty early on in the building out of the app was allowing the collaboration with other people. I have someone that I've always worked with them as a client. They're a longtime repeat client. Their mom is not only a little bit older and doesn't love technology the most, also English is her second language. So we use both the translation feature and the collaboration feature. So then her son was able to send her things in the app and actually kind of run the app for her, where she could open her iPhone and she would just look and there were things already in there for her and they were collaborating back and forth. That was really, really cool, where, yes, it is an app. And sometimes apps are scary for people that are not loving technology, but to be able to have someone else in there with you in the app, whether it's us as the agent helping them or a family member or a friend, that's been really, really amazing. It even has audio features for people that may be visually impaired. There's really just some amazing accessibility tools for everybody.
Awesome. Yeah, we love it. That's the name of the game, right? Keeping your client engaged. So kind of going back to another question, I love the specific story, but for Tabren, Marlene, or Brittanie even, can you share like a specific moment that Zenlist did help you keep a client engaged? Like, is there a specific story you have in mind? Would love to hear kind of what happened, how you work through that.
I have several, and they happen daily, if not every other day. I have a lot of, we have Chicago in general is a very tenant heavy city. We have a lot of rentals that we work, and I'm a huge proponent with making sure that rentals are kind of the bread and butter and baseline of, any agent's business, but really any in particular a new agent's business. And I've noticed that anytime that somebody sends me a Zillow link, somebody sends me a Redfin screenshot of this property that they just came across, I love to say, awesome, keep sending these to me, but I want to use Zenlist as a cross-reference tool, because this is going to give you real-time market updates instead of something that may or may not have been recirculated in old listing that they're just kind of using for lead capture, or something that's going to give you an actual option, right? And I've have clients they just keep doing it, right? So they'll send these screenshots, they'll send all this stuff, but then I'm noticing their shift from those tools to Zenlist are happening much more frequently. And they're saying they're now getting to the point years later that they send me the Zen link for whatever comes up. And again, this is people that I've either just started working with, or these can be past clients that I was working with 3 years ago that, just happened to come back up onto the platform. And they're like, hey, remembered I still had Zenlist, love the platform, but I want to take a tour of this property. And they just pops into my inbox. And again, with the integration note earlier, again, I operate out of Follow Up Boss, so I get notifications directly when they send me these things in order. So that way, I don't have to remember which person said what or sign back into the app or that. It's all synced. So that way I can go through my workflow and then respond accordingly.
Marlene or Brittany, are there any specific short stories that come to mind for you guys?
I had a client reach out to me on social media about a year ago. And I don't know where she got my name. It was in a Facebook group or something. But I immediately put her on there, and she has stayed engaged. And in the last year, I've only met with her once in person. But it keeps us, going back and forth, and it keeps her engaged with me several times a week. And so that's been huge. It's been great to have, because we don't have that immediate relationship, like if you meet somebody in person and then go from there.
That's why I always love Tabren's suggestion of like, I set them up on a search and I send it in real time right away. Because, in the old version, you're going to the MLS, you're adding them, you're going back, then you're creating their search. Where in Zenlist, you're doing that, like Brittany even mentioned, you can share your screen, set them up on it, and give them that immediate real-time value, which is something that I think this tool does really well. There was kind of on that note, there was a question about open houses in the Q&A that I think would be interesting to explore in the vein of just keeping the client engaged. This question was, can you ask them what best practices are for when you are meeting someone first time at an open house and you're trying to build rapport with a possible new client? Can Zenlist help you do this? Nick, we'll kick it over to you.
I'm sorry, guys. I feel like I want to buy stock in the company. I love this product so much. It really has been such a great tool for me at open houses, because again, I'm still, even though I own a brokerage, I'm still a coach, I'm still an agent first and foremost. I want to try out the tools and work the tools in the industry and see as things change over time. I have the Zenlist Zenlink right there at my open houses. We've got some cool text codes through our company. Even with the text codes through our company, the first thing they get is the Zenlist Zenlink, because it's like, hey, this property could be great for you. Here's all the information on this property. You can use that unbranded Zenlist Zenlink. And by the way, guys, I'm happy to do a follow-up and show you guys some of the stuff I do. You guys can follow me on social media at Nick Libert everywhere. I'm happy to do a training on this stuff, but I really feel passionate about at the open houses, if you're not sending people the Zenlist Zenlink as they enter the open house, you're missing out on a huge opportunity to interact. It's non-invasive. If they've already got an agent, okay, well, then they can work with their agent. And remember, you can only have one agent at a time on the Zenlist platform. So the nice thing is you're not stepping on anybody's toes. If they've already got an agent on Zenlist, okay, don't worry about it. But if they don't, what a great way to introduce yourself with a beautiful tool that is going to help them better their search criteria and actually just give them more data on the market in general, not just that house, but everything else around them in the area and more.
And adding on to that, guys, it's a two-side story to this, because whether you're representing the buyer, you're representing your seller, hosting the open house. I've personally used it, as a QR code, like Nick mentioned, and actually targeting other listings that I know are competitive in the area. And I'm saying, okay, hey, if this one doesn't work out, I'm getting you into the app to show you exactly what else is in the area that may or may not fit your criteria from the sell side. If I'm representing you as the buyer and I'm meeting this person for the first time, I always will typically attend these open houses as long as I'm available, of course. But when I'm representing the buyer and I'm meeting this person and for the first time, a lot of these open houses, especially in Chicago, it's a quick turnaround, like these listings fly off the shelf. And if they didn't have access to the private listing network and aren't able to see these, I mean, it's gone within 48 to 72 hours, sometimes sooner than that. So I'm able to say, hey, here's my app. Here's a couple options for you. Would love to meet you at the open house, for something that just came up, 30 minutes ago. It's happening 11 to 1 on Saturday. I'll see you there. It's so quick, it's so direct, and it provides them with that efficiency that I feel like a lot of consumers miss on other search platforms.
Absolutely. Okay, so I think we're coming to our kind of like rapid fire Q&A. I know that we've answered a couple of questions from the crowd already, but I know, Jesse, it looks like you marked some extra ones to answer live. So let's hop into that.
Yeah, Mark or Tabren, actually, Mark asked you how you keep your text templates kind of organized. What tools do you use to keep all of those kind of, we call them canned responses internally, but how do you kind of
Yeah.
stay on top of all of that? Do you have any suggestions?
Absolutely. So whether it's, my CRM or anyone else's, I mean, they all pretty much do the same stuff, but I am a huge proponent of templating as much as I can. I don't want it to come off disingenuous. I don't want it to come off as like I'm, a bot or, trying to just pawn things off. Like I type these up myself a lot of times, utilizing other tools like Zillow has awesome text templates that you can kind of use for reference and recreate as your own. But I save them in my CRM. Like I said, there's a direct API integration with Zenlist with my preferred CRM, which is Follow Up Boss. And when I get those notifications, anytime that I send a saved search to a new client and they sign in, I'm directly notified in my CRM. As soon as they are signed in, and actually touring, they save, they request a tour, they put a note, they send me a chat. It all goes in order in my CRM. So that way I don't have to question what property they were looking at or what questions they had on that. Now, in reference to my text templates, again, there's a feature within Follow Up Boss that saves all of these in order. And I'm super type A and I like try to keep everything organized. But my buy side templates, my sell side templates, my CMA comparable, verbiage, like any of that stuff I have saved in my CRM. And then I send it out accordingly. And I have examples too that I can send over to you, Taylor, and distribute accordingly. But those have helped me out a lot, and it actually tracks your analytics as well, which I think is just like a super nerd out moment for me. But you can see who is clicking into these links that you're sending. I'll send the Zen link as well. It's fully customizable and include an all about me video, and be like, hey, this is Tabren, this is who you're going to be working with. I usually put it as like a PS at the bottom of every template and just be like, this is who you'll be working with. So that way they know they're not meeting some random, so that has helped me out a lot. So choosing your preferred CRM of choice and really making it serve you and your business has been a huge proponent in propelling my business forward.
That Zenlist Zen link, by the way, is so cool. I remember when Andres first came out with that, we were emailing back and forth about that idea because I had a link tree, and link tree is great, but what if something was right there in the Zenlist platform? Having all your items of value and who you are, like Tabren's introduction video, etc. If you go to teamlibert.com, that's just my Zenlist Zen link. That's not even a website. That's my Zenlist Zen link built out. I love that feature because it's not just, hey, here's my app. Let's tell your story. I've got my professional resume on there. You can set up a Calendly meeting with me, all the different, got my buyer presentation, seller presentation on there. Mine's probably too much, but so am I. But I really believe that Zenlist Zen link that can tell your entire realtor story for you as a great intro. And also, obviously, there's the request access to the beautiful app.
Great. Something else that came up, Christian asked about connecting with other tools or resources. We do have the lender option. And Nick, I know that you mentioned this. I'm curious if anyone else is using lenders at the moment, and if y'all could talk a little bit about how that works and what your experience has been.
Tabren, I know you're
I was
using it.
like, I'm like, I know I'm using it. Yeah, no, it's been a huge help from the loan officer side of things as well. There's so much, collaboration that obviously happens already, but I think three, if not four, of my preferred loan officers are already within the app too. So alleviating that weird, I guess, weirdness of, do you want my preferred lender? Like kind of tiptoeing around that. Like, no, just be like, hey, I have this preferred app. I'm sending you all these options. That's great. But I also want pending you need it, right? I have preferred vendors that are already within the platform as well that you can then directly collaborate with your loan officer. So anytime, say it's an FHA buyer, right, and you're looking at condos, can this get, approved? Like those questions that will come up, or even if it's a cash buyer that's like, well, maybe this one's slightly above my range of what I'm comfortable with. Maybe I do need to consider a loan. Like it's just being able to send it directly to that particular person within the app has been a huge help.
And then also just having running the numbers with that client on properties, it's just that is such a cool feature. And then also having them see what comparable sales. I'd love to eventually see even like comparable rentals, that kind of stuff. I mean, there's just so much functionality to that. And then if your lender's not already on there, you've got to get your lender on there, because they really are missing out on, quite frankly, not having to ask us, can you send me the MLS sheet on this one? Or why did you send them to this property that has $12,000 in taxes and or $1,000 a month assessments, and it's out of their budget? We can stop wasting the consumer's time and everybody else's time by using that feature.
I love that. Just some housekeeping on the Zenlist side of things. There were lots of questions about more trainings. Do you have webinars? Do you have recordings? We will include all of that in our follow-up email. So you'll get an email with this recording link to watch back and take notes if you've missed anything along the way. And we'll include some additional training resources for you to step by step show you how to do some of the things that our lovely panelists are talking about. So if that was a question you had in the Q&A, we've got you. And then that's everything I think I've got from me.
There is a question on here that I think is interesting that I just want to throw out there for Marlene, Brittany, Nick, anyone. But it says, does anyone on the panel use Zenlist for their seekers? Which I'm taking to mean just like maybe like those people who are just
Browsing.
looking, browsing, being casual. And if so, can you share any tips on how you're dealing with those people on Zenlist?
I am just adding someone today who's like that. I have a handful of clients like that who are, allegedly 2 to 3 years out, and a lot of time. Oh,
While she gets her Wi-Fi going, what we do, both me and Tabren, is we give it to everybody, because that way you can see maybe they're not 2 to 3 years out, or maybe you can offer some suggestions for them. If they're looking, if they don't know whether they want to rent or buy right now, they can see both all in one platform.
every 3 months, 6 months or something, I'll send them a little like, hey, did you see this one, or something like that.
Brittany, I think you cut out a little bit, but
Oh, I don't know what happened, but anyway, yeah,
No worries.
I'm like, it's casual, it's free, it's easy to use. So just try using it instead of Zillow. You might actually like it. And you can ask me, a professional who lives here, who knows these neighborhoods and knows these.
Uh-oh.
And it is a really affordable price compared to everything else. And then I can tell you, because it smells like ferrets, or, or something like that.
No, I love that too. And like I said, a lot of the people that are coming through via social media, for me specifically, I'll post a walkthrough, an inspection, new listing that just hit the market at an open house or something. And I'll typically get like 3 or 4 responses of just like people that follow me that are like, hey, I've been meaning to reach out to you, would love to talk. They may not be looking today or next week or a month or a year from now, but I always send it to everybody, because at that point, you're engaged in the app. They're seeing real time updates on everything like we talked about. And they usually get off of the other platforms. They're not really engaged in a lot of the other ones anymore, because they have something that's giving them the value that they're looking for, instead of playing the runaround game of, okay, well, which listing went contingent today.
Okay. And then just last question while we wrap up, walking away from this question for everyone. What's one thing you would recommend everyone in the audience do if they are looking to engage more in Zenlist, or what's our homework? What's our takeaway? Marlene, do you want to start? We'll put it to everyone.
Sure. I sit down every afternoon and go through my hot clients. And see what they've been doing, look at it, and kind of helps me figure out who I've got to get with immediately. And so that's the best thing that I've done, is just stay engaged with it. I have my push notifications on.
Brittanie, anything you want anyone to take away? Oh, I think you're muted.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I would just say, yeah, I would just say use it. I mean, going through the list, it's super helpful if you're like just trying to remember what you have going on, and go scroll all the way down too. Sometimes I scroll all the way down and I'm like, because it's sorting by order for those that aren't using it. And you can say, hey, I haven't talked to you in like a year, but I'm just curious, are you still active? It's just another, it's like a little CRM in that way. So I think I would just say get in there every day and check it out.
Nick?
I would say cross-reference it with all your past clients. So go in the MLS and figure out who all your past clients are. Make sure every single one of your past clients is on it. And then go on your LinkedIn. I'm a big LinkedIn guy. Go on your LinkedIn. Everybody you're connected with in LinkedIn, if they're in your area, reach out and give them Zenlist. It's a tool for everybody, whether they're looking to just research property, etc. It is a gift for everyone. So I would have everybody you can possibly get on that platform, because that's going to create more of a relationship and a unique value proposition for them.
Tabren?
And honestly, I would say for somebody who has like mad anxiety with notifications blowing up my phone every day, get into your preferred CRM and integrate it with Zenlist. Like as awesome as it is as an individual platform, make it work for you. Because if you are whether you have 5 clients or whether you have 500 clients in this, you will get to a point to where those notifications and those dings start to become overwhelming. And if you have a system set up in place that feeds the information you're receiving from Zenlist, and again, it's all interactive, so you can click into the listings they're sending you notes, they're sending you chats, and then you have it in your head. As I go down my notifications list in my preferred CRM, that has probably single-handedly saved me from a psychiatric ward at this point. So
Well, thank you so much, everyone. We will wrap things up today. A big thank you to all of our panelists who joined us. We have recorded this, so we'll be sharing the recording with everyone. And then there is a little survey at the end, 3 questions. Just let us know what you thought. We'd love to know what you guys think of these. You want us to do more of these, so keep us posted, and we'll let everyone get back to their day. And I already said it, but thank you again, Tabren, Nick, Marlene, Brittanie. We really appreciate your time this morning.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks.
thank you for having me.
Bye, guys.
See you on
Thank you.
social
Bye,
media.
everyone.